The Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong recently held a roundtable on population development strategies. What were the key focuses with regards to population and what challenges need to be addressed? We're joined on the line now by lawmaker Nixie Lam. Good morning, Nixie.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us. Can you tell us what was the different angles looked at in maintaining the sustainable population to support Hong Kong's economic development?
Yeah, I think this is already the second session for our roundtables. What we see is the major problem at the moment is that we lack of the whole holistic population policy in Hong Kong. I talked to a lot of the professional bodies and employers and stuff about it. Everyone is basically worried about it. The first session we host is basically on family-friendly workplace and how we can enhance policies around it. Only 20% of the local Hong Kong companies offers beyond statutory parental leave, and 10% of them cover fertility benefits and stuff. And the roundtable we host last week is basically focusing on the decision factors on youth. So whether the youth are willing to get married or have child and stuff like that. So it's quite alarming that only about 36% of the youth at the moment are considering getting married.
You mentioned
We're not talking about it's only marriage, but not having kids at all.
You mentioned those stats on corporation, like family-friendly measures from corporation. Where does that rank international standards? Is Hong Kong up to scratch?
I think what happened is we didn't actually compare with international standards because it's basically very different and taxation-wise and very different. But what happened is a lot of the international corporations, when it comes to parental leave or similar policies, family-friendly policies, they might have much better policies overseas in the headquarters countries. But when it comes to Hong Kong, they degrade that down to, okay, what the law requires us to do, and that's it. We're going to only do that, and not providing what the company usually provides for the other for other companies around the world. So that is something that is quite worrying. Why are we degrading their status when it comes to Hong Kong? That is one of the major problems. And on top of that, I think a lot of the women in the workplace at the moment, we're having to force to choose between the career path or having a family. But that exact timeline is basically contradictory. It's in mid-30, whether I should try to work harder to be in a directorial grade, or I should have children because this is a critical period of time. Right. So that is the major focus on whether we should provide more family-friendly policies, such as, say, flexible leave or some other, if the company is financially viable. Like I recently had a project with KMB, which is the bus transportation company. And for 3 years, we've been formulating one of the policies at the moment. And it's confirmed that the company will have a childcare center for their frontline staff or their staff. Right. And it's providing services for kids between 2 to 6. A very young age, very critical to whether to release the workplace power from the women's side, or even single parents like a single dad or something. They want to work and they want to provide equal quality time for their children in childcare centers as well, which is at the moment in Hong Kong, we are basically lacked of in a lot of the areas. So things like that, we need to look at why are people not having kids. If you look at the figures, this year we are getting a little bit better. The fertility the rate is of 0.841, I think, if I'm correct. But the problem is we're still among the lowest around the world. So what are the major factors we need to find out? But at the moment, I think about after 2-3 years, we haven't seen the government formulating a holistic research or looking into why are people having less kids. By advocating or keep telling people, oh, you should have kids, it's not going to work.
Nixie, I got to ask, you're doing a very good job outlining the problems at the individual level, at the micro level. Why, this lady wants to drive a bus, but she needs someone to take care of the kids while she's driving from Kennedy Town to North Point. Things like this. I understand all that. But taking a step back and looking at the whole world, we're not short of people. We got, 8 billion? There's a danger we're going to go to 10 billion. What's the problem? Why do we need more children?
I can't talk on behalf of the whole world. I'm only the legislature in Hong Kong. What I'm worried about is Hong Kong is among the lowest, as I mentioned. And the vibrancy of the city is heavily relied on whether we have a vibrant workforce. In Hong Kong, we are facing these sort of problems. We do have some policies to say, well, if you are like well educated individuals, have a good job, you should migrate to Hong Kong and things like that. A lot of the policies around that. Yeah. But if we are looking at how we want Hong Kong to be, then we really need to think that what about the local Hong Kong people, right?
It's definitely a problem.
How many Hong Kong? If all of the Hong Kong youngsters were saying, well, this is too expensive to live in Hong Kong, and the environment of Hong Kong or education system is too stressed out and things like that, we're not going to have kids in Hong Kong. Then are we going to rely on import labor?
But yes, what's wrong with that?
It will be some problem. I don't think it's a healthy situation at all.
It's definitely a problem faced by a lot of developed societies, right? Like Tokyo, Singapore, all of them face this.
Yeah, they are facing problem. If you look at Tokyo, or if you look at Japan, recently they're trying to tax everyone on sort of like a way to, if you're not having kids, they're taxing everyone on a certain amount, and then that money will only go and subsidize people with families. So a lot of the other countries are doing a lot of policy on that, but I think at the moment, the key core issue is that we do not have a population policy in Hong Kong. So it is really hard for policymakers to predict or calculate or whatever, or formulate policy that is helping the situation. Right. I talked to a lot of the town planners when, they have to plan buildings and facilities around town, and it is very difficult for them because they don't have the figure to reference on.
Right. The problem is a structural one, that we're going to have relatively few young people and relatively more old people.
Yes. One in 3 persons going to be, So basically, if you look at the number, your future children, which is me, I have one kid, right? In the future, he's not only going to support the parents, me and my husband, he will have to also support another people's parents because of the structure.
It puts a strain on the elderly care health system.
Exactly.
But all right, I am already a senior citizen, and I already have 4 children, but I'm not getting any support from them.
No, it's just a calculation of that. I'm not, see, I use my son as an example, but I'm not trying to ask my son, you have to take care of me in the future. It's just that the calculation goes like that, then that might be a structural problem. Then what are we going to do? Are we going to have other policy to support, or how many, even though you say, okay, we decided to rely on migration, that population are you looking at, right? The whole thing is about whether the government have a long-term plan for the population at all. Because if you look at all of the other countries, they do have a population policy. But in Hong Kong, because we're one country, two system, we cannot use the mainland way because it's totally different. Then what are we now, right? We do need to stand on a foundation of a strong foundation, a firm foundation, which is based on proper research. If you look at the figures that I was actually talking about on the youth, then why are they not having kids? Well, some of them will say, well, it is totally fine. I want to have 4 cats or whatever. But then there will be a bunch of people that they want to have 4 kids. Cats. Well, I have to. And the problem is they want to have kids, but then they think it might be too stressful. Or what are the factors? We need to find that out.
They say a big factor is, let's face it, it's expensive to start a family, especially in a city like Hong Kong. So how can we, do you think we should just give more subsidy?
I think we did some research before, and one of the burden, which is surprising, that they think they are not confident enough that they will be good parents. Then we need to find out why are they not confident enough? Are we not providing enough services or support from the government? I recently joined a forum, which is the GBA forum on population policy.
Right.
And there is quite interesting. There is a center in Foshan. They provide provide a holistic sort of services whenever you. Hey, sorry.
We have a listener on the line now. Let's we want to quickly bring him in before the time runs out. So Justin, I believe we have Justin, listener, on the line.
Good morning.
Morning, Justin.
Morning, Justin.
Morning. I was listening in, and I heard a comment about, we have schemes in place to, attract educated foreign talent to come to Hong Kong. I mean, that's all well said and done, but, okay, if we're talking about just finance or financial services, we're talking, maybe 20% of the jobs in Hong Kong, if that. I mean, then another comment was made about bringing in foreign labor. Well, what about all the blue-collar jobs? You want to talk about young people? How many people under the age of 25 want to go stand in a construction site or work in a shipyard? I come from a very technical, hands-on, in-field type of career. I can tell you right now, most of those guys won't see a salary that starts with a 3. So, okay, what young person under the age of 25 will agree to work like that? Unless, in general, Hong Kong is very expensive as it is, but.
So it sounds like, thanks, Justin. So it sounds like it's a whole holistic, there's a lot of just different angles to look at this, right, Nixie?
It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, any remarks you want to say to what Justin was saying?
Yeah, so that is also a reality we look at a lot. I remember when I used to be a district councillor, and we have, the pipe brokerage that happens a lot around the town. And I was talking to one of the technicians. I think he's in his 60s. And I asked him, why isn't there any younger people joining? He said they're not interested. It's too difficult job, and they're not totally not interested. So that is the structural problem on the whole population policy that we need to look at. Well, okay, in the blue-collar job, are we going to heavily rely on migrant worker? If so, then how many percent, and how are we going to plan? And if we want to still keep, say, 20% of the local labor, then how are we going to formulate the training class in some of the university or some of the VTEs or whatever, right? We need a proper population policy to look at every sectors and how we plan future.
Just
not like until now, so whenever something happens, exposed like the $2 a box incentives for the elderly, and then we say, well, it's too late, we've got to stop it, and we need some sort of predictions, isn't it?
Is it better coordination? We just have about 20 seconds left, Nixie. Do you think there needs to be more coordination between all the departments too?
Oh, definitely. That's why we are proposing the government really needs to secretary of department level sort of initiatives to work on it. Well, if we're going to have secretary to look after the garbage problem, we'll definitely have a secretary to look at the population policies in Hong Kong.
Thank you so much. We're just about out of time, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us as lawmaker Nixie Lam talking about the population development strategies in Hong Kong.